Good morning. Never work with animals, children, or husbands. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Friday. As usual, if you're there, say hello. I'll give you a wave. Say hello back. Know that I'm not talking to myself. Good morning, Rachel. Yeah, it's Friday. It's Friday again. Oh, wow, loads of them just came in, but you guys are fab. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Leslie. Good morning, Andrea. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Jay. Oh, the gang's all here today. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Maria. You look lovely. Oh, thank you. And Maria, I've got a bone to pick with you. A parcel came yesterday. You were naughty. I haven't opened it yet. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Vanessa. Good morning, Lani. Yes, Pete, my husband's here next to me, and Eric is fast asleep on the sofa because obviously he had a hectic night sleeping. So now he's sleeping again. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Trudy from Wales. Good morning. Good morning. We have a very, very autumnal day here in the southeast of England. Very overcast and rain in the air. Good for the garden. Definitely summer's end. Definitely. Good morning, Victoria. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Leslie. Good morning, Melody. Good morning, Becky. Good morning, Sylvie. Whew, you guys are fantastic. Seriously, what are you doing? Good morning, Jan. Good morning, Christine. Welcome to Friday, the last Friday in October, because of course tomorrow is Sowing and a blue moon. End of October, beginning of November already soon. This year I just blinked and it's gone. Sue is in Somerset, dull grey and blowing a gale. Yeah, pretty much. Maria says, good morning, Eric, wherever you are. Yeah, he's under a pile of blankets on the sofa. He is a princess. Happy birthday for tomorrow. Sue, thank you very much. Yes, it is my birthday tomorrow. Born on the 31st of October. Fated, eh? Good morning, Kay. Yeah, definitely fated, wasn't it? But, I think we mentioned this before, but Halloween wasn't a huge thing when I was little, not in my part of the country. So I didn't really think about it until I was older. Old enough to know better. Good morning, Jess. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you, people. Thank you. So I thought, as tomorrow is Samhain, that I would talk about sowing. Sowing. Lots of arguments about how you say it. I wanted to talk. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Melody. Thank you, people. Thank you. So I wanted to talk a little bit first about the Wheel of the Year. I know I've mentioned it before. Good morning, Diane, Christine. Happy birthday. Thank you. Yes, it'll be a different birthday this year, but we'll have fun anyway. I will be spending it with my husband and my children. So, and Eric, of course. Good morning, Julie. Thank you. The Wheel of the Year. Lots of us work with it. Lots of pagans work with it, and I think it is a brilliant idea to mark the turning of the wheel. Some of the holidays or celebrations or festivals or whatever word you want to give them are from ancient traditions. Others not so much. There are 8 of them, obviously. They are split. My voice is going already. That's not good, is it? There are lesser and greater Sabbats. Lesser Sabbats are the solstices and equinoxes. So that's Ostara, Litha, Mabon, and Yule. They form the quarter points of the year. And the remaining 4 Sabbats, Imbolc, which is the Beltane, and Lughnasadh, and of course Sowing. They fall on the cross quarter days, and they are known as the greater Sabbats or fire festivals. like a bit of fire, don't we? Of course, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, that's how it all lays. So tomorrow is Sowing. Although I don't really think of it as a day or as a particular day. We're witches. We like to celebrate Samhain over several weeks, don't we? And I think that's the same for all Sabbats. I think of it as a period of time rather than one particular date on the wheel. And I also think it's not fixed. For me, Samhain marks summer's end. That's what it means. Samhain, summer's end. But I think probably we've been past that point now for a couple of weeks at least. So I think of it as a period of time rather than that one fixed date, because it doesn't always work. Obviously with the solstices, which always sounds really funny, solstices, it is a planetary point. It is when you've got the shortest days. But I tend to think of it as a bit flexible, because some of us can't always celebrate the actual Sabbath on a particular date because we might be working or other things are happening, or So I think of it as a flexible kind of period in time. Obviously, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, Samhain is in May. We're celebrating Beltane now. So I did fall off the wheel a long while back. I found that I wasn't decorating my altars. I was forgetting about Sabbats. I was not following it completely. And it didn't kind of fit with the weather patterns or the seasons for me, or the energy, because I work particularly with the energy of the day more than anything. And it wasn't kind of fitting for me. So I did fall off the wheel. But in recent couple of years, I have jumped back on. Mainly, I think, because at Kitchen Witch we started again doing the Sabbath rituals, and it kind of brings everybody together, gives everyone an excuse really to get together and to celebrate the season. So I've been brought back into the wheel, and I think it is. You have to celebrate it as and when you can, or whether you want to, and don't beat yourself up about it if you miss one, or if you don't redecorate your altar, or life gets in the way. Life's busy, so don't beat yourself up about it if you don't manage to do it all. We can't do it all. It's really not possible. Good morning, Julie. Thank you. Good morning. I'm really not going to pronounce this properly. I know I'm not. Bogusai from Orkney. Beautiful. Thank you, Kelly. Good morning, Deborah. From Deborah, an 11-week-old puppy Merlin who loves to chew my limbs. Yeah, that puppy chewing stage is lethal, isn't it? Christine, full moon rising is affecting my energy. I did the housework yesterday. Yeah, that full moon's got a bit of power behind it, hasn't it? And of course, there's a blue moon tomorrow as well. So a little bit more energy for things that you perhaps wouldn't normally ask for. Think of the phrase once in a blue moon. This is your opportunity to work magic for something that's maybe seemed a little bit out of reach. Tomorrow is the day to do it. Sue, it's been very difficult trying to celebrate anything this year. We've a lot of catching up to do. Next year, hopefully next year. Yes, definitely. Good morning, Lizzie. Good morning, Eva. A bit late, it was too nice outside. Oh, you're not down where I am, Eva. It's not nice outside at all. Sue, I love falling off the wheel. That's how it feels this year. I felt that quite a lot. And I think more recently, perhaps, the seasons haven't really played ball. They aren't in sync with the dates on the calendar. I think be a bit flexible and don't beat yourself up if you don't fall in line with it. Good morning, Jackie. Sue says, what's housework? Something that you do when visitors come. Yeah, Jane's the same. What's housework? Yeah, it is that thing that you do, quick tidy up before people come round. Which we haven't really had to do this year, have we? That's another bonus. Good morning, Lucy. Leslie, I got so much housework done yesterday, all the jobs that I had put off. Go you, Leslie. Flowing with the energy of the full moon. Good morning, Tess. Yeah, we don't worry about housework so much. Sue, no visitors, no housework. Yep, I like your thinking. So I think with the Sabbats, you've got to work with what works for you, as with most things. But the Sabbats are there. It is the Wheel of the Year is a more modern idea, although our ancestors would have celebrated the solstice and things like that. I'm sure we don't really know for sure. We're just going by guesstimation, I think. But they would have been aware of the moons and the planetary movements to a point. But they would have celebrated the harvest, the end of the harvest. Samhain, of course, is the end of the third harvest. So from now on, they will be our ancestors would have been storing things away to keep them over winter. That's why everybody's doing their pickling and they're making jams. And I must admit, that's not something I do. I rely on gifts from friends for that. Sylvie's on lockdown again. Yeah. I think we're probably a lot of us heading that way, and some of us are already there. But, got to be done. Becky, good morning. Very excited for tomorrow, celebrating with friends. Good to see you all this morning. You're lucky to be able to meet up with people, Becky. Not really for us at the moment. We haven't been able to do much of that this year, but there you go. So, Sowing. 31st of October, or some, some celebrate it more on the 1st of November. But as I say, I think of it as a days, weeks. It's a season, if you like. I think of all of the Sabbats like that, 8 seasons. So each one spreads over several weeks. A couple of weeks before, a couple of weeks after. It is, of course, as I've said, summer's end. Definitely autumnal. And marks the last harvest. But probably more importantly for us witches, it's a time when the veil between the worlds is said to be at its thinnest, a time for connecting with spirit. Although I'm always unsure about that, because I think if you are of that persuasion, if you want to contact the spirits, then the spirits will always be there for you. I think perhaps it is a little bit easier this time of the year for those that are inexperienced with it, or for perhaps your close ancestors to come through. But it's also a time when our ancestors literally would have taken their cattle and livestock to be slaughtered and to preserve them, to keep them going over the winter months. For the witches as well, we also see it as the end of the old year and the beginning of the new. I think it is a time to look back over this past year and see what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. It's been a strange one, that's for sure. And see what you've achieved, really, and see what needs tweaking. Get rid of, let go of the stuff that didn't work, and make some new plans for the months going forward. I actually tend to do a yearly tarot reading at Sowing. I will be doing that tomorrow. I do a whole 12-month card reading to see what's there for the months ahead. Karen's in lockdown too. It's got to be done, Karen. We will get out the other side of this eventually. We will do it. Good morning, Denise. Becky, first time celebrating a Samhain this year. Fabulous. Make the most of it. But do it for you. Do what works for you. Don't feel pressured into doing all the bells and whistles. Do what works for you. Lucy, my daughter turns 14 tomorrow. Happy birthday to your daughter for tomorrow, Lucy. Best birthday ever. All the best people have their birthdays tomorrow. It's funny, isn't it? Although I said Halloween wasn't really a thing when I was little, but I was always given dragons and fairies and moon things. It was just a sign, really. Just a sign. Karen was supposed to be going to Harry Potter. Oh, it'll still be there, Karen. It'll still be there when it all opens up again. Teresa, I like that idea to do your yearly tarot reading now. Yes, I do. And particularly, I think, because this time of the year where we get the darker evenings and where spirits are abound, it's perfect for divination. Absolutely perfect for divination. So a tarot reading for the year going forward. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Andrea is celebrating alone this year and going to do a guided meditation to find ancestor and talk to them. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Lani, of course, yes. Lani's daughter's birthday tomorrow too. Yeah. Say happy birthday to Zoe for me, Lani. Best people. You normally have trick-or-treaters because we're in terraced housing. So I think it's very, very easy for the kids to just go from door to door to door. Whether we get any tomorrow or not, I don't know. I'm hoping not because I think it's safer not to do it. But, yes, Sylvie, get your cards out. Do a reading. Do a reading. Because it is perfect. And, of course, with a full moon tomorrow as well, you've got a double whammy of psychic energy for doing divination. It couldn't be more perfect, really. So whatever form of divination you work with, absolutely perfect tomorrow for doing readings. Perfect. It is, of course, a time to celebrate our ancestors, all of those that have gone before us. And that covers a huge field because it covers your grandparents, if they're no longer with us. My grandparents have passed for some time now. Great-grandparents and the generation before them and the generation before them, and going right the way back. Even if you don't know the names or you don't know your history, you can open yourself up for the ancestors to come through. Just do a little bit of research first if you've not done it before, because working with spirit can be a little bit tricky. Let's think about it like you're sitting there and you light a candle and you go into meditation. You say, right, spirit, my ancestors, I would love for one of my ancestors to come through. When you've opened that up, you're basically switching on a light. You're turning on your lighthouse beacon and you're going, hey, spirit, I'm here. Well, there's a lot of spirit out there that want to talk to us. So once you flick on your beacon, all of them will come. The first time it happened to me, it was horrendous. I felt like, like when you're in a big crowd of people at a festival and everybody, like, they're all going like this. So just be warned, I don't want to scare you off, but just be wary that you're in control. If you get too many voices shouting at you at once, and spirit don't generally talk in complete sentences or direct conversations. Quite a lot of the time it'll just be one word or images or random things you have to decipher. Tell them to shut up. Remember that you are in total control, and you have to be like the strict school teacher and tell them to all shut up and ask one of them to come forward. So basically get them to form an orderly queue. It might not happen. You might just get one or two through, but just be wary that you are in absolute control when you're working with spirit. You can tell them what you want them or need them to do. If you want them to go away, if you want them to leave you alone, if you feel uncomfortable with any of the energies, ask them to leave. You are in absolute control. But don't let me put you off doing it because it is a fascinating experience. Jane has lots of fun-sized Cadbury's and Haribo for the trick-or-treat kids so we can eat them if they don't show up. Oh, but you've just been told you're diabetic. That's just mean. That's really mean. Lucy has had vivid dreams the past 2 nights. Loved ones who have passed. Yeah, you will find that as well. If you're open to it, then you will find that they will come through to you. But again, just remember that you're in control, basically. Good morning, Tanya. Christine, I tell any spirit visitors that I don't know to bugger off. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? You've got to remember that you are absolutely in control. And if you feel uncomfortable or you don't want them there, tell them to go. Sue, how do you switch on the beacon? Well, you can do it via meditation. If you were in the Kitchen Witch Sowing ritual on Sunday, there is a recording of it on my YouTube channel and on the Kitchen Witch Facebook group. We did a candle spell to connect with spirit, but you can also do it in meditation. Literally, you have to ground yourself and calm yourself down, ground and center, and open yourself up. You can light a candle for spirit. You can hold a crystal that you associate working with spirit. Selenite is particularly good for connecting with the other world. Light a candle, light some incense, or you can just sit in quiet meditation and ask. just say, I'm opening myself up to connect with my ancestors or with the spirit world. If you are a Kitchen Witch student, we do teach mediumship in one of the lessons, but you've just got to open yourself up, and by that I mean you just ask spirit to connect with you. But you do need to be peaceful. I think you do need to be at peace with yourself. So light a candle, light some incense, whatever you want to, that brings you to that kind of meditative state, and ask. It is literally, you're opening yourself up to make that connection. Do you cast a circle for spirit work? I don't tend to, because I work a lot of magic in the house anyway, so it's all protected. And I guess because I'm more experienced with it, so I know that I can tell them to bugger off if I don't want them. But if you're doing it for the first time and you're feeling a bit unsure, then cast a circle just to make yourself feel more comfortable. Christine, opening energy centers, chakras can open up and your light shines out like a beacon. Yep. Brilliant way of doing it. Denise has been having vivid dreams for the last few weeks. I think my empath wall is weak after my op. Yeah, if you aren't feeling very well, or if you have been through some trauma, I do advise not working with spirit until you are feeling better. Jane, what are your feelings about Ouija boards? Well, Ouija is a brand name. Ouija is the name that was put on the board by one of the big toy companies. So I tend to call them spirit boards. I have worked with them. I think they're a useful tool, but then there are lots of divination tools. I don't think they're any more dangerous than crystal balls or runes or tarot cards. You're making that connection to spirit, but I think you do need to know what you're doing. I think it's very silly for kids to mess around with them. I think with any of the divination tools, though, you need to know what you're doing, and you need to know how to deal with spirit when they come through. I have never known spirit attack anyone physically. I don't believe they can generally, but spirit can be a nuisance if you don't know how to get rid of them. Not all spirit, obviously, but you get the one or two that are particularly annoying. You have to know how to deal with them. We did use a spirit board once to clear a spirit from a shop. Spirit kept messing about with the displays, so we worked with the spirit board, and we couldn't get any clear answers, and we were really, really struggling with it until we made a direct connection with the spirit, who turned out to be a very young child who couldn't read or write. So she couldn't understand the letters on the spirit board. So spirit boards are very good if your spirit can read and write. But yes, I think they are very useful tools, but like anything, you wouldn't necessarily give a tarot set or a crystal ball to a 5-year-old. So, I think you need to know what you're doing with it, really. Vanessa found old photos yesterday. One was my nan and me as a baby. Oh, perfect. Then if you've got a photograph of the ancestor that you want to connect with, then use that photograph as your focal point. Put the photograph in front of you and connect with the image in it. And that's a perfect way, because you've got that focal point then for the particular ancestor that you want to connect with. A lot of people will set up ancestor altars. I've got a whole bunch of photos of my great-grandparents and my grandparents, and setting up an ancestor altar at this time of the year is perfect. It's a way to honour your ancestors that have gone before you, but it's also a way to connect with the spirit of them as well. So photos are brilliant because they give you that kind of focal point. Lizzie, just now as you were talking about connecting with spirit, a big noise came from the living room. I live alone and the cat's in here with me. Yay, go spirit. They want in on the act. Christine, Ouija boards are horrendous for inexperienced people. I've had to help many people who've tried them out and never closed them down right. Yeah, it's lack of experience. I don't think spirit boards should be used by anyone that's not experienced with dealing with spirit. Denise, I realised that as I did a small spell the other day. Did ground, but it wiped me out for 24 hours. Need time to heal. Any kind of energy work, including spell work, requires you to ground before and afterwards. But you are working with energy. And if you draw the energy from around you, from the spell, from the earth, from the air, from the sky, then you should be fine. If you're drawing energy from within yourself, it can absolutely wipe you out. So I do recommend just being a channel for the energy, not drawing the energy from within yourself. But any energy work will, it's energy. So particularly if you put an awful lot of your own intent and will into it, can be quite draining. Lani, Amy's always wanted to use my Oracle and Tarot cards, bless her. Yeah, I mean, my kids have picked up tarot cards on and off over the years, but never in any way to actually work with them. They're not so bad, obviously, but yes, if you are actually working with the spirit board, then you need to know what you're doing. Diane, keep smelling old-fashioned sweet tobacco smoke in my craft room this week. It's funny, isn't it? The last few weeks I've had quite a few people mention smelling tobacco, and I think perhaps there's so many people now that don't smoke that we notice it more, because I'm sure most of their grandparents and great-grandparents smoked. So they are around, and smells are quite often, you might get the smell of a perfume, but tobacco smoke is quite a common one that comes through. Andrea has a folder on her computer with some photos of my ancestors. Yeah, I do too. I think you've got to keep them, haven't you? I think it's important to keep those things. Maria suggests eating chocolate. It will ground you more. Maria, I love you. That's why we're very good friends. Eating chocolate actually does. It's very, very good for grounding you. Jane, before she died, my nan said she didn't want anyone to try and contact her. Should I respect that completely, or can I ask her to contact me if she wants to? She said my birthday. Perfect. I think you have to respect what she wanted, but you can put the call out. She may have changed her mind. You don't know. Ask is all you can do. Just ask. If she wants to come through, she will. Jane, when I started spellcasting in the 90s, I used to get absolutely knackered. Now I know why. Yeah, I think it is one of the things we do teach working with energy. And one of the first things we say is don't take the energy from within you. Mother Earth is happy to provide the energy for you, whether you draw it from the air or from the earth up through your body or from the sun or from the moon. Channel it. Don't use your own inner energy, because you will wipe you out completely. End of lecture. Karen has put photos of my dogs that have passed on my altar. Brilliant. Yeah, don't forget that spirit of animals can come through too. They all moved over into the other world, and they can all visit from the other world too. So yeah, that is perfect for connecting with your ancestors. There are lots of symbols for Samhain, and I'm sure, pumpkins are the obvious. Gourds, black pointy hats, broomsticks, black cats, bats, skeletons, skulls, spiders, wolves, moons. There's a whole host of stuff. And I'm sure quite a lot of us have got them, bits and pieces of those on our altars or decorated our houses. I've got skulls on my altar behind me, but they're always there. A skull is for life, not just for Halloween. But there's lots of symbols that we associate with it, and I think most of them really are to do with the other world, or skeletons and things to do with the afterlife. And of course, witches, hats, broomsticks, they've all got the Sowing Halloween connection. It is a time, I think, to start shutting down. And from that, I mean the garden. Our garden's pretty much tucked up for the winter now. I think it is a time when we start inner work. We're not going to be out. Well, we haven't been outside much this summer anyway, but we're not going to be outside so much now. And the evenings are darker. So it is a good time to start inner work. Planning, plotting, looking inside at what you need to release and get rid of, and how you can move forward, really. So it's a good time for shadow work and inner work. Colours, obviously, black, orange, white, silver, gold, red. Activities. I've said divination. All forms of divination. Absolutely brilliant for Sowing, and I say particularly as it's a full moon tomorrow. Christine lights a fire and burns little messages for the ancestors. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Maria has pictures of her past cat but can't find it at the moment. There'll be a reason for that, Maria. I don't know what it is. You'll have to work out what it is. I've had lots of things go missing in this house recently, but that's, the fae, I think. Denise keeps seeing her 2 dogs over the past couple of days whilst working in my office. I think that the veil thinning makes it easier for spirit to come through to us, not the other way, not us contacting spirit. I think it makes it easier for them to come through to us. So that's probably why the dogs have been around. I think things like making a witch's ladder, having your intent for new projects for the coming months, making resolutions, writing them on small slips of paper and burning them, making an ancestor's altar. It can be as simple as just one photograph of a grandparent that's passed over, just a shelf or a small table. I would suggest not putting your ancestor's altar in your bedroom. For the spirit will take that photograph as their point of reference. So if you've got it in the bedroom, you might find that they disturb your sleep. So probably not a good idea to put your ancestor altar in your bedroom. White and black cloth as a base are usually very good. Then your photographs. You can add divination tools to the ancestor altar if you want to. I think that kind of brings in the correspondence of the spiritual connection. Add mementos if you've got them, old pieces of jewellery or ornaments they might have given you. I have a brooch from my grandmother and I have an RAF badge from my great uncle. They go on my ancestor altar. Candles as well are good because they're good points to light them to honour your ancestors and also to give you a focus for connecting with them. And leave them some offerings. Leave them some offerings of food or drink. And also, if they smoked, leave them some tobacco, or if they like to drop a rum, leave them a drop of rum. I think this is the time of the year to leave offerings for your ancestors. It's a big part of what this holiday is all about, is honouring them. And leaving them food and drink offerings is perfect. Jane's late cat, Trevor, fabulous name for a cat, Trevor, I like that, comes through from time to time. But as in life, it has to be on his terms. He's a cat. Cats have their own terms. Melody sees dogs and cats that have passed around a lot of time. Maxine. Hello, Maxine. I have had lots of dreams about past relatives this week. I think it is. It's the time of year, isn't it? And for anyone that is free this evening, Sprig and Mist have an online gig. Hop on over to the Sprig and Mist Facebook page. They are running an online gig this evening, 8 o'clock, I think. Tess, Witch's Ladder. What is that and how do you create one? Tess, hop on over to my YouTube channel. There is an instructional video on how to make a witch's ladder. It's basically a plait, and you plait your intent into it, into the strings, into the ribbons, into anything that you hang from it. But there is instructions on my YouTube channel. Maria has been seeing shadows for a couple of weeks now. Some animal height and another someone watching me from the doorway who moves once I notice Luna staring and I look round. Yeah, cats and dogs will also notice spirit before you do. Christine, I was told that a candle that flickers a lot is a sign that spirit is with us. Yep, it can be, or it can just be a draft. That's my practical side. If you are somewhere where there's no draft and it flickers, it can well be a sign that spirit's with you. Pete's put up the link to the Sprig and Mist Facebook page in the comments there. So do hop on over to the Sprig and Mist page there and watch their gig this evening. They are fab. Another way is a dumb supper. Fantastic way to honour the dead. I'm not sure how old the tradition is, but it can be fun to do. First thing is to decide which room that you are going to hold the dumb supper in and make it a sacred space. So cast a circle or smudge and cleanse the area, or both. Make sure there are no electrical items turned on in the room. Unplug the television. Don't take your phones in. The main theme of a dumb supper is that it's held in silence, not a miserable kind of silence. It's a solemn one. It's a silence of respect for those that have passed. So when you invite your guests, your living guests, not so easy at the moment, obviously, get each one to bring a note to the dinner. Don't ask what's in the note. It's private for them, but it should contain what they wish to say to any friends or relatives that have passed over. So you set a place at the dining table for each deceased person that you wish to honour. The chair is, they literally have a chair and a setting at the table. Often that chair is covered in a white or black cloth. No one is allowed to speak as you enter the dining room, and not at any time during the entire supper. This, as I'm sure you will realise, is a great feat for me. To be silent for that amount of time is sometimes quite a challenge, but you do it with respect and honour for those that have passed before you. As each guest enters the room, they take a moment and stop at the spirit chair, and then they can leave their little note and they can have a moment with their honour the person that's passed. Once each person's taken their place at the table, everyone joins hands and they all offer a silent blessing to the deceased. No one should start eating until everyone has been served, although that's just good table manners anyway. And that includes a serving for spirit. So the spirit chair gets a serving of the food as well. When the meal is finished, you can, if you haven't placed your notes on the spirit place then beforehand, you can do that at the end. In turn, each person goes to the place setting of the spirit, focus on the message they've written, and then you can catch the edge of the note in the flame of a candle and burn it. So obviously also a good idea to have a cauldron or a fireproof dish there. When everyone's taken their turn, they all join hands again and you do a final blessing. Once it's done, you can leave the room, still in silence, and stopping again at the spirit chair to give a final blessing. So it's quite fun to do, but it does take a little bit of willpower if you're like me and you're not very good at being silent. But it's a fun thing to do, especially if you've got a family or group of people, and just as a way really of honouring your ancestors or those that have passed over. Christine says the candle at the back of me is flickering. Yeah. My house is actually on a Roman road, so we get quite a few bit of traffic through, and my grandparents are often around as well. So yeah, that's quite likely. The flickering candle, like the one behind it, the others aren't moving. Yeah, no, there's someone here. There usually is, actually. It's part of the course really when you work as a witch, isn't it? Jane says, all cats we've had look at invisible people in the front part of a house. Yep, use my rods and they crossed all the way up the house to that area. So I think they're seeing spirits coming through. Yeah, I say cats and dogs in particular, they recognise spirit. We took Eric for a walk. Eric is our dachshund, if you didn't know. Through a cemetery last weekend before, and normally he loves going anywhere that's got trees and grass and things, and he just he's off kind of thing. But he was uncomfortable the whole time that we walked around the cemetery. He kept hanging back, he kept stopping, he kept walking in between me and my husband. He was really, really uncomfortable, and I've never seen him like that before. So I think he was picking up on what was in the cemetery. We enjoyed it. The cemetery was fascinating. It had gravestones going back to the early 1800s, and lots of squirrels and lots of crows and magpies. But the dog was really uncomfortable. So they are very, very open to spirit. They pick on it a lot more than we do. Andrea, love the idea of a dumb supper, but I haven't got enough space at my table. Guess the ancestors would need to share their place at the table. Yeah, you don't have to set lots of chairs. You can just set one space at the table for them, as long as they've got a chair and a place setting. You can all share the one. They can all share the one chair. Maria says too many spirits, perhaps. No, that's just one there. That's my grandfather. He does like to mess about. But yes, there you are. There's an example of candle flames. Yeah, you have to. If you're open to it, you'll see the signs, and you'll feel, and you'll know. And if you're unsure of who it is, then ask. You should get an answer. But Samhain is actually a brilliant time for working with your psychic abilities of any kind. It's also good for new beginnings because it's the beginning of the new witches' year. It's also good for banishing. So you let go and get rid of everything that didn't work for you in the past few months so that you can move forward. Also a good time for working with past lives, astral projection, clearing, inner work, and manifesting. So it's getting rid of, and it is moving forward. Maria meant at the cemetery. Too many spirits at the cemetery. Yes, I think it probably was Maria. He was picking up on everything, so he was very uncomfortable. Jane, could I set up a feast for my ancestors using doll's house furniture and real food on my altar? I think it would be very small. I've never really thought about that, Jane. Bear in mind that spirit are generally the same size as us. So you can definitely leave real food on your altar, put a plate on your altar with an offering on for them. But trust your intuition. If it feels right for you, Jane, then go for it. Karen, I go to the cemetery most days, but sometimes my dogs won't go in. They're very sensitive. Yeah, I think they do. Animals do pick up on things. So for spell work, it is, I think, about getting rid of stuff, looking at what didn't work and releasing it, and then setting some new plans moving forward, but also good for inner work. But then I think winter is good for that as well, for working on your inner stuff, on any shadow work. One spell in particular I like to work with is a seed charm for the ancestors. It's about honouring those that have passed over. It can be humans, it can be animals. Seeds are grown in the memory of your loved ones. So you need a packet of seeds or some seeds. I've got here some sunflower seeds collected from the sunflowers that we grew that are actually called Black Magic. So they've got a really funky name as well. One of my husband's favourites. So seeds and a dish, seeds in a dish. It doesn't matter what type of seeds, but bear in mind that it is completely the wrong time of year for planting most seeds, unless you have a greenhouse and you want to get some biennials started. So doesn't matter what it is. So seeds and a dish. You need a white candle in a holder. I've got a tea light in a fabulous little Freya's cauldron. And the seeds. And a bag. Oh, and matches, obviously, or a lighter. The night before Samhain, so tonight, put the seeds in the dish, light the candle beside it. She says, hopefully lighting the candle. Jane, how about if I stand the furniture in a full-size dinner? I think you have to trust your intuition on that one, Jane. I wouldn't worry about the furniture at all, to be honest. I would just put a plate. If you've not got the room to do a done supper, I would just put a dish with some food in on your altar and make the offering that way. But go with what your intuition tells you to. Elizabeth, what if you don't know your ancestors? I never even knew my grandparents. Then just you don't need to call by name. You don't need to, you obviously won't have photos. Just set up an altar with some with a candle on it. And ask whoever is there that wants to make a connection with you to come through. You might be surprised who comes through. You don't have to be specific if you don't know names. Lizzie, do you use battery candles for working? I don't, Lizzie, because you don't get the same flame. You wouldn't get that side. You wouldn't get the flickering candle flame. If you are limited, because I know particularly if you're outside or if you're in rented accommodation, some of them do have quite strict rules on candles and naked flames. If that's all that, if you've got those restrictions, then go for it, because I know that battery candles are very good. but I don't tend to use them. Maria, could you try meditation to meet them? Meditation is perfect for meeting with your ancestors. Absolutely. Sit yourself down and just close your eyes and open yourself up to whoever wants to come and connect with you. If you want to write a little script beforehand, you can do. But I would just literally meditate with the intent to meet your ancestors. Sue, back to the old matchbox. Yes. I did have a rechargeable lighter, but I blew it up. It was like a stick, and I tipped it right up to go deep into light a candle flame, and it blew it up. So I've gone back to matchbox. Jane, I was being a bit silly. No, you weren't, Jane. You have to trust your intuition. Trust your intuition with what you want to work with. If you want to set up a dumb supper with doll's house furniture, it might be quite funky. Go for it. Trust your intuition on what you want to do. Teresa, I want to work with my ancient ancestors and ancestors of my local area, but don't know where to start. Also, can language be a barrier working with spirit? My older ancestors would have spoken Welsh, but I only know a little. Worried I may offend them not speaking Welsh to them. Oh, Welsh is quite I have no idea how to speak Welsh, but it always looks quite tricky. So hats off to anybody that speaks that. I think research helps. There are ways, particularly with the internet, of doing research, particularly in your local area. Visit your local library as well. They often have lists and books and things. I've never come across the language barrier myself, other than the little girl spirit who couldn't read or write. I think if they are going to make a connection, then they'll make it work, even if they give you a few Welsh words that you don't understand. In my experience, spirit don't speak in complete paragraphs. They will show you an image or a symbol, or you will get one or two words. So hopefully you'll be able to make that kind of connection, and between you figure out what it is that they want to get across to you. Try it, Teresa. Go with it and see what happens. So the spell, you have a white candle and your seeds and a little bag. So the night before Sowing, put seeds in a dish, light the candle. Now visualize the person, the people or animals you wish to remember and honor. Even if you don't know their names, even if you don't know what they look like, get the idea of grandfather or great-grandfather or just my ancestors in your head. Say a few words if you want to in your memory, or that you'd like to make that connection. Leave the seeds overnight in the dish. If you can want to put it out, particularly tomorrow with the full moon, if you want to put it out tonight on the windowsill so that the full moon gets to it, absolutely brilliant. So leave the seeds in the dish overnight. Let the candle burn down. Obviously keep an eye on it. Don't let the house burn down. Never leave a lit candle flame unattended. On Samhain, take the seeds from the dish, put them in the bag. She says, trying not to spill them everywhere. Take the bag in your power hand. Mine happens to be my left hand, even though I'm right-handed, but there you go. Then you need a pot or earth where you're going to plant them. Think again about the person, the animal, or your ancestors, and then scatter the seeds over the earth. They'll obviously take some time to germinate. Now, if you've got a greenhouse, this is brilliant because you can do it in the greenhouse and they won't be too bad. If they are seeds that can't be planted until spring, I would leave them in the bag on your altar and then plant them in the spring when the time's right. Because you don't want to waste the seeds, because sometimes putting them in the ground now, they might not germinate. So you need to check with the seeds how they need to be grown. But that's then in the spring when they start to germinate, and then in the summer when they've grown, it's a reminder to you that you honoured your ancestors. So that's a really, really simple one, really simple spell moving forward. Lizzie, my ancestors are Welsh. When I need my ancestors to support me, I call on them and they range behind me, usually the women. Don't overthink it. Just ask. They'll make a connection. They will make a connection, and they'll make themselves understood. Max, I agree with reference ancestors. We'll find a way to contact. I've been able to contact Maltese relatives and I cannot speak Maltese. Yeah, if they want to make themselves known to you, they will, and they will communicate. It might even be that they just show you images. So try it, go for it, and see what happens. Jane, I found a lot of Neolithic artifacts in my back garden. Fantastic. Such as arrowheads, broken axe, chisel, and things that look like sinew cutters. Ew! Put them on my altar to represent really far back ancestors. Not sure if they're local or brought in with the ballast when the house was built in the 50s. Love the idea of Stone or Bronze Age people in our postcode. Yeah, I think you also have to remember making connection with the land that you live on is super important as far as I'm concerned. The land that I live on has had man living on it since caveman times. So you've got layers. You've got layers and layers and layers of ancestors, generally wherever you live. My house was built in 1920, but there were houses here long before that, and there'll be layers and layers of houses before that. So there's always something or someone there. So I think it's really important to make a connection with the land that you live on, because that will really help your connection to your magic, to your spirituality, to the energy around you. If you understand the land that you're living on, then it's a big boost for it. Christine, acorns are good seeds to plant now. Perfect. If you want to work with an acorn, that'd be brilliant to plant right now. But make sure you plant it in a big garden because oak trees are huge. Maria, can you do this with herbs or bulbs? Absolutely. Planting herbs would be brilliant because you can do those indoors on your windowsill. And bulbs, yep, you're brilliant to plant bulbs now, ready for the spring. So perfect. Maria planted some last September and now 3 oak trees growing. Now, Maria, I know that you have a very small garden. I'm assuming they're in pots. They will need to be transplanted to somewhere wild. But yes, work with things that you know that will grow right now, or planting as herbs, Maria, that's brilliant. Herbs will grow on your windowsill right now, and they'll grow a lot quicker than most things as well. So that's just a way of honouring your ancestors by using the growth of seeds. There's lots of other things you can do. There's your pumpkin carving, obviously. Don't forget to save the seeds of your pumpkin. You can get rid of all the squishy, yucky bits. So you've just got the seeds, give them a wash, then dry them out, sprinkle them with salt and pepper, bit of paprika, bit of oil, lay them out on a roasting tin, pop them in the oven, and you've got a very scrummy snack. Or dry the pumpkin seeds and use them for magical workings, because pumpkin seeds are absolutely brilliant for prosperity spells. So don't get rid of them. Do save them. Tin lanterns are a good thing to make, made with empty food tins. Clean them inside, wash them out properly, dry them. You'll need a bradawl, pokey screwdriver thing, to push holes through the tin. Please be very, very careful because it's not easy to do. And then you can put a loop over the top of string or wire, and you've made yourself a lantern if you add a tea light. I like to also do a vision board at this time of the year. I may well do a talk about vision boards because that's just popped into my head. Basically a board, and it can be done on Pinterest, it can be done on a cork board, it can be done on a piece of paper. Lots of different pictures taken from magazines or printed off the internet, or photos of things that you want to achieve, things that you want to manifest. Samhain is an absolutely brilliant time to create a vision board for your year going forward of things that you want to manifest in your life. Denise plants acorns and horse chestnuts in pots, and once grown, give to a friend who has a farm on the moors and is establishing a small wood. Absolutely brilliant. Yes, horse chestnuts are good to plant at the moment as well. Christine, when we first moved here to a new house, we saw a spirit man who was Roman, stood at the end of our bed and looked angrily at us. I didn't know much about the area and found out there was a Roman settlement near us. Then a psychic lady said we had a Roman that walks through our house. If I see him at night now, I tell him to go away politely. Yes, ours is on a Roman road as well, straight from the ocean, basically, up through to Chichester. So, yes, the Romans like to poke about. But yeah, a vision board's a really good idea as well to set your intentions for the year going forward. There's lots and lots of ideas for pumpkins, so I'm not going to deal with those, but a black mirror is a good idea to make at the moment. I talked about those in the scrying talk that I did. Basically, a black mirror is you can make it with an old photo frame or old picture frame, paint one side of the glass black, put it back together, and you've got a black mirror. I have got a large one standing in my garden, actually, and it's really good for scrying. You get a bit of candlelight or a bit of moonlight on the surface of the black mirror and you scry with it. You can do the same thing with a dish of water. You can put drops of ink on the top. You can put herbs on the top so that you scry across the surface. Scrying is basically just divination reading from a reflective surface. You can even use a puddle. Andrea uses pictures on her computer desktop like a slideshow. You could use that space for a vision board. Absolutely. You could create your desktop on your computer as a vision board. But Pinterest works very well as well. Pumpkin candle holders. If you get the small pumpkins or even large apples work as well, you can hollow out a space in the top of them just to pop a tea light in. That works very well. Waxed leaves. Obviously, there's loads and loads of autumn leaves around at the moment. You'll need some candle wax. Old candle stubs for this are brilliant. Melt the wax carefully, very carefully, because hot wax on your skin is nasty, speaking from personal experience. And it's also very difficult to get off the walls and the carpet. Again, personal experience. Then you dip each leaf into the wax. You can coat both sides or just one side. Lay them on greaseproof paper to dry. Once they're set, you can use them for decorations. They work. The kids quite like doing that as well, collecting the leaves. You'll have to do the hot wax bit. Maria suggesting a black crystal for scrying. Absolutely. Obsidian works really well for that. Black crystals, to any crystal you can scry with. If it's got a flat surface, you can read with it. Halloween trees, a nice idea. That's a good one for the kids as well. Use a tall vase. Fill it with a mixture of rice or something that's going to be able to hold the twigs. And then you need twigs to make your tree. So stick the twigs into the vase. And then you can hang your Halloween decorations or sweets and candy from it. Although actually I have seen black Christmas trees on Facebook as well with all sorts of decorations on. Hello, Alicia, 3:55 a.m. here. Wow, there's dedication for you. Happy sewing to you too. Sowing reeds are quite popular too. You can buy lots of bits and pieces in the craft stores for those. But anything natural, autumn leaves, dried apple slices. Then you can add your tiny little plastic bats and spiders to it. You can make little tombstones out of cardboard. Lots of black and yellow and orange ribbon. You can even stick dried pumpkin seeds to a wreath to make it into a Halloween wreath as well. So there are lots of crafts and things that you can do, particularly with the kids as well. But it is primarily for us witches, it is about honouring our ancestors. So just light a candle for them. That's all you need to do. Or put some food offering on your altar. Keep it really, really simple and open yourself up. If you want to connect with your ancestors, if you've got a photo, absolutely brilliant. That gives you a focus. If not, just light a candle and see who comes through. But do remember that you are absolutely in control when it comes to spirit. If you feel uncomfortable or are worried about it at all, just ask them to leave. You are always in control. Christine, I have a metal tree and I hang on all small pagan items, webs and wings. Brilliant. You can get a lot of things in the craft shops now. But whatever you're doing, please be safe. It's a weird old world out there at the moment. I did pull a card for Sowing because I like to keep Sue happy and I haven't done a card reading for a while. I apologise, Sue. Lizzie, if you collect leaves, you can stick them into a wreath and put them under bowls and cauldrons on your altar. Yeah. Alani, Fimo is great for making Samhain bits. Gravestones are cool. So, okay, if you collect leaves, you can sew them onto a wreath. That makes sense. But yeah, autumn leaves are brilliant, and the colours are so amazing. Jane keeps lots of jingly bells handy to ward off dodgy spirits. Cool. Yes, no, for particularly for Sue. Here's a card from the Flower Magic Oracle deck that I pulled this morning for Sowing. And this is Cosmos. And it's all about opportunity. It's got a very witchy looking lady on it, actually, who's holding an owl. Cosmos is brilliant. Actually, some of them are still flowering now. They do flower on into the autumn. They come in all sorts of colours too, pinks and reds, pinks and whites, purples. Cosmos opportunity. So this one literally is about having the world is your lobster. Oyster. I know it's oyster. The whole world and more laid at your feet. Ready for you to explore, basically. Have a think about what it is you really want from life. Do you even know? Quite a lot of us don't. Or perhaps the options are too overwhelming, and I've been there, done that too. Have you got too many pathways to choose from? Cosmos is certainly a big place, but here is the important part. Cosmos is the universe seen as a well-ordered whole, and that's what we're all striving for. Let's not go running headlong into it with arms flailing and legs akimbo. Been there, done that. Think it through first. Take a look at the big picture, step back, and like the wise old owl on the card, although it's reflecting very badly today, look down on your universe from up high. Lay it all out like a map before you. What do you need to bring order to your chaos? Once you're sorted, opportunities will open up before you. And I think this is perfect for Samhain because this is all about looking back. Look back over your year and the months that have gone beforehand and see what worked and what didn't. And then plan ahead for the future. Get rid of the stuff that didn't work. Cut those ties to people that held you back or caused just rubbish in your life. And see how you want to move forward. It is the perfect time. And as I say, tomorrow is a blue moon as well. So if there's something that you've always really wanted to do but never thought it was attainable, tomorrow under the blue moon is the time to work magic for it. Once in a blue moon. Cosmos is all in the name. This plant can provide you with anything in the entire cosmos. Use this flower for incense blends or spell pouches to invite opportunities for you to grasp. Use it in any magical workings to help you gain insight and clarity. So it's brilliant for divination work. Can help you focus on what you want, or more importantly, what you need, because they aren't always the same things. And it will bring you inspiration to move forward. It lies at your doorstep, ready for the taking. And of course, it can bring order to chaos, which is what I'm always striving for. Being an organized control freak, that's music to my ears. Common name for the cosmos is garden cosmos, sometimes called the Mexican aster. It's part of the sunflower family. Oh, there's a tie-in with my sunflower seeds. Look at that. There's also a variety that smells of chocolate. There is, seriously, we've had it. It's a brown flower, and it does really smell of chocolate. Greek translation of the word cosmos means orderly, beautiful, and ornamental. So this is all about creating some order to chaos. It's about organizing your life. It's about grasping any opportunities that are laying in front of you, basically, to ready for you to grab. Sue has bells on all her doors inside and out. Maria pulled Cosmos last week. Lizzie, chocolate Cosmos smells delicious. They do. They really do smell like chocolate. It's bizarre. Karen has made witch bells for protection and put them on the front and back doors. Maria, is it associated with air or water? I think probably both, Maria. It hasn't got a particular association as far as I know from the elements. It is quite a tall and light plant. The foliage is quite light and feathery, so air definitely. But I think the galaxy's got quite a water connection too. What's a witch bell? Literally bells, Melody. whatever size, doesn't matter, whatever type of bell, but they are used to keep away evil spirits. You string them up normally on a piece of ribbon and hang them over your doorways to keep negative energies out. Sue, isn't that a witch ball? I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Sue, but witch balls are really good too for keeping out negative energy. Teresa, I have cosmos seeds, so we'll sow them as part of the ancestor ritual. Brilliant, Teresa. Yes, I've got some for next year as well. Bear in mind that they don't normally get planted until the spring, so you might want to keep those in your bag on your altar until the spring to plant. So that's it really for Samhain. There, Jane, it's a good time of year to buy little bells cheaply in cellophane tubes in pound shops. Yes, because they'll have them there for Christmas, won't they? Christmas decorations. Literally, Melody, it is, yeah. Wind chimes hanging from doors, Melody, is brilliant too. Same principle. Anything that makes that clinky noise, basically, is to keep out negative energy. But that's kind of it for Samhain. I would like to thank you all for your continued support. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I'm still quite overwhelmed that people join me every Friday morning. It is the highlight of my week. And I learn so much from you guys. Hopefully you learn from me. But for me, it's a bit of a social, really. It's a way of connecting with you all and getting to know you all a bit better as well. So it's a joy to do these Friday mornings. For other events that we've got coming up, do please have a look on my website for the events, or on the Kitchen Witch Coven group, or on my Facebook page. We do list all of the events. And, you know, have a fantastic Samhain. Whatever it is that you're doing, stay safe. If you've got any questions, I'm always available to answer anything if I can, so do message me. If you would like me to talk about anything in particular in the coming weeks, again, do throw some subjects at me. I'm happy to talk about anything, really, as long as I know what I'm talking about. I never tackle anything that I don't have any experience of, so as long as I know what I'm talking about. There's lots of events coming up, so do have a look. Thank you all, everyone, for joining me, and I send you all blessings of Samhain, and thank you so much for all the birthday wishes as well. Thank you, guys, and have a fantastic, safe weekend.